Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Good evening to friends in the North America, and hello to anyone watching on replay. My name is Nancy Hetker, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne, Australia. And I'm just still trying to nudge my camera into place. Sorry, I don't seem to be able to translate what's on the screen of my phone and what's on the screen of the computer I'm monitoring things with, and how I adjust things. That's pretty good. I'm going to stop there. Hello, Gladys. Thanks for joining me today. I am going to be making a card today using a technique that I've done before once, and I tried it the other day. So I'm starting with my failure. Just to show you that sometimes you have to experiment to do things. This technique, well, let me start at the beginning. So, this is once again using the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. I have been using this a lot lately. You will have seen that on my blog, and if you've watched my videos before, I did one with this a couple weeks ago, showing you a couple different things. So one of the cards that we're making in my class this weekend is using the embossed side and applying colors using a couple different techniques to a pre-embossed piece of cardstock. Yeah, so here is a piece of cardstock that I have run through that embossing folder, and this is the embossed side. The pattern is popping up out of the cardstock. This is what's called the debossed side, and the pattern is depressed. That's how I remember it, debossed into the cardstock. And this is the side we're going to be using on today's project. Like I said, you can see all my marks from, I tried this before. So what you do is you color in, here's one that I've started, you color in the pattern with whatever you want. In this case, I'm using Stampin' Blends markers, and then you go over it with your Memento Tuxedo black ink. And skim it across to get the part that's raised up. And so your color is down on the debossed part, it's sunken in, and you're supposed to skim over the top. Well, what I discovered is if you try to do that with my handy dandy hack to get nice blacker stamping, with using the foam, the uninked stamp pad that's designed to be worked with the craft white ink that I've inked up with the Memento Tuxedo black, you get too much ink, and it went all over all of the stuff that I had colored in, much more than I wanted. So we're going to try a different technique for applying the black today. So, boy, that was discombobulated, wasn't it? So basically we're going to start by coloring in the debossed design on, there we go, on our cardstock. And I am starting with, I've got 3 different shades of yellows, and I'm starting with the dark lemon lolly. On this one I use the light lemon lolly, and not only is my marker basically dead, but I think it's really too light for this pattern, or this, for the sunflower. And you don't have to worry about being super, super neat, because, again, anything that's up at that top surface level is going to be black anyway. So if you go outside the edges a little bit, it's not a big deal, because it's going to get covered up with that black. So I'm going pretty quickly here to get a layer of this yellow down. sometimes it's a little tricky to see what's what. There we go. Hello, Paula. Thanks for joining me. So, as I told you guys last week, I think, this is going to be my last live for several weeks, because 1 week from today, Glenn and I are taking off for Denmark for a couple weeks. And yeah, we've got someone coming, we've got a couple someone's coming, staying with the dogs. So that's all set up and in place. And we're putting the final planning stuff into place for our stuff. It's gotten a little complicated. Glenn has a bad knee. He had a bad knee last year, just before I went off to the United States for, 5 weeks. So he had to manage on his own with that. And now we're going to travel with his bad knee, which is fine. But it has meant that we've done a few changes. This is the opposite. Last year it was one knee, this year it's a different knee, but it's basically the same type of injury. Lots of basketball when he was younger, and a family history of wonky knees. So there you go. He is on 2 crutches right now. There is hope that by the time we travel next week, while he will take both crutches, he will mostly only need to use one. And but we're going to request wheelchair assistance in the airports, and we're going because he has a conference in Copenhagen. There, I think I've gotten all of the flower petals. Sometimes it's easier to double check on this side. I'm going to go in with my secondary color. This is Dark Daffodil Delight. The first one was Dark Lemon Lolly. This is Dark Daffodil Delight. And I'm just going to come around and add some, but last night we decided to change hotels. We had been booked at a hotel in central Copenhagen for the whole time we're there, figuring that he would just take the metro or the subway, their public transport from, this is Darling Duckling. But we had figured the conference is being held at the convention center, and there aren't a lot of hotels right there, so most people are actually staying in downtown Copenhagen and then going out. And we thought that that's what he would do too, because it's more interesting in the center of town, right? But we decided that with him being disabled at the moment, the conference will actually provide him with a mobility scooter, which again, he may or may not need, but the convention center is pretty large and he's got to move around to different spots. And with that, we thought it'd just be easier if we stay at the hotel that's right on at the convention center, basically attached to it. And then he can use the mobility scooter and get back to the hotel. He doesn't have to worry about accessible taxis being available exactly when he wants them. And then once the conference is over and we've got a couple days on our own in Copenhagen, we'll move to that hotel in the center of town. And I'm perfectly mobile and can take the metro or subway or whatever they call it, wherever I want to go, much more easily than he can. So we just decided that made a lot more sense. So that's what we're doing. I thought it was pretty cool that I contacted the convention center to say, hey, do you have scooters that we can borrow or rent while he's navigating around the convention center? And they hooked us up with, they said they didn't, but, directed us to the right person at the organization whose conferences it is. And they said, yeah, we'll arrange it. We'll have it delivered to your hotel or to the convention center, and we'll pay for it. We're like, okay. So we'll see. Once the conference is over, and if he hasn't overstressed it because he's made use of the scooter to get around the convention center, maybe he'll be good to go for our sightseeing and we won't need anything else. But we can always arrange something ourselves if we decide it's needed. Just adding in, again, that little accent color on the petals. I think the outside needs some. Let's do that. Hello, Christine. And Mom, nice to see you. Gladys, I'm sorry your knee has been troublesome. Yeah, my right knee's been troublesome this week too. I'm just telling it, it's got to settle down. There's no time for two wonky knees in this family. So, okay, so that's the petals. And now we're going to do some of the centers. This is crumb cake, and I'm just going around on this. Again, I'm working on the debossed side of the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. Embossed is this side where it pushes up, and debossed is where it's depressed into the paper. And when I am finished coloring the sunken or debossed parts, we're going to skim over the raised parts with Memento Tuxedo Black. And if you're just joining me, I will show you, I attempted to do this the other day, and I used my squishy pad. I've been talking up using the uninked pad that comes with the craft refill, the white refill, and to use Memento on it. Well, it was too squishy and it got into too much. So we're going to try some different application techniques today. And see how it works. Single edge here. And I'm not being super neat with this, I realize. And as I said before, because that black is going to skim over where it is raised up, I am not so worried about staying in lines type of thing. It shouldn't matter. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now I've got the flower centers. And again, you can kind of check on the other side. You can see where it's seeped through. And that could be kind of a neat thing to make into a card too at some point. I don't know. We might play with that some other time. Not what we're doing here. So now I'm coming in with light Old Olive. And this one's kind of manky, but I'm going to use it again because it's pretty... you don't have to be super exact with it, so it's okay that it's a beat up brush tip. I'm just going around all the edges here. So what's happening with you guys? I've told you my whole saga here, getting ready to go. There's a leaf. Nobody's writing anything. Nobody's got anything interesting going on? Okay. I know Gladys just got back from visiting family. Oh, Paula had company too. You guys got a lot of rain, didn't you, Paula? I saw, what, flooding in the subways in New York City? Yeah, this one's about dead, isn't it? Fortunately, I have another one. See here. Okay, I think that's it on the leaves. Yeah. Okay. So, on this one, I'm going to try my brayer. And I'm going to try it pretty lightly. I am still using the squishy pad, but I'm just using it as an ink source. And one of the things you want to be sure to do is when you're inking, you know, let the brayer roll around. So if you just go back and forth like that, you're just getting the same couple of inches. You want to let it roll around. And now I'm going pretty lightly. And as I go, I see I can push more ink on there. That is working much better. You see how it's hitting all of those raised up parts? That's a good thing. It's okay that it's getting a little bit down in there, but it's not a lot. But look at how that's bringing out the color. And I'm going to be okay with some white. I'm going to see if I can get a couple of these spots a little darker. I could come in with a sponge dauber, but I really don't want to change methods because it'll look different. I'm about to call that good. See, the more I do, the more I get down in there. And a little bit is okay, but I'm going to stop there because I really don't want it to be too much. What do you think about how that popped out? I am pretty pleased with that. And I think what I'm going to do is on that. And that, what do you think? Should I come in and color a little more around the white, or you like the white? You like the little bit of white showing? I do too. Not 100% on, oh yeah, I think so. Golden green. Yeah. I was also thinking, I like the green. I was thinking about the black. Or green and black. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm going to take a moment and think about how else I want to finish the card. Since apparently we're doing, this is Darling Duckling and Old Olive. We're going to mat that like that. And more decisions. Says just a note. I don't know. So what else is happening with you guys? I'm doing this big craft de-stash sale on Sunday. Hoping a lot of my stuff sells because that would be lovely. That didn't quite, that's just kind of lost. Just got Darling Duck. I just got all the in color ribbons. Oh, come on. No, don't like that. Well, maybe we're just going to make it a plain card, at least for the moment. I'm using more glue than I usually do because it's so heavily embossed and colored and it's kind of warpy. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to put that big block on it for a minute. Let it sit. As I still contemplate. Still contemplate a sentiment. Except I really don't like anything I'm coming up with. Okay, that did a pretty nice job of getting that down. When I get it all together, I may stick it under the block for a little while again. I don't like it just like that. I am just going to leave it like so. The other way I was thinking about doing this, and I'm just going to experiment with it while I've got you here, and I'm probably not going to go ahead and make an entire card. Is I'm going to come in again with my inks, my markers, Stampin' Blends, and color these in. Definitely need to put Lemon Lolly blends on in my cart for my next order. This one is got its brush tip all down. Daffodil Delight. Darling Duckling. Crumb Cake in the center. With some pecan pie as well. And then the green leaves. Maybe some are petals, maybe some are leaves. Okay, I may come back and do more of this. We'll see how this turns out. So I wanted to see what happens if I bring in the original Memento pad, not the squishy one that I've made out of the foam one, but the original felt pad, and go very lightly. Yeah, that's what I thought. So if you don't have a brayer, you can come in with the original pad and get a similar, not the same, but a similar effect. And you can even do it first and then go in and color. I think we're going to check on that now. I'm going to come in, see I can get some of these lighter spots here. So, not quite the same as the brayer, but better than getting the big blort that I got with the foam pad. So, having done that, let's see here. I think I can come in, yeah. And again, this is much lighter than the black, so it doesn't even hurt it if I go over the black. And remember, Memento is the same color we use when we're stamping to then color with blends. So it works just fine to do it that way too, if you want. Goodness, sirens galore out there. So the markers, they're designed to be replaced. There is no ink to re-ink them, but usually what happens is the brush tip gets so mangled that it's really hard to work with before they run out of ink. I have managed to track down some replacement tips that work pretty well. They're hard to come by here in Australia, and they are really only marginally more cost effective. So I don't always do them like that. The one that you saw me using and I said, oh, it's dead. That one was both out of ink and had bad nibs or brushes. So, yeah, that one will well, I already have a replacement for it. Old Olive is a color I use a lot, so I usually have a couple on hand for classes. So yeah, actually that coloring works really well, and it makes it really easy to see where you're trying to get the color. So that might be the way to do it, is to ink first and then color in. But it's yeah, most people just replace them, and they're really not badly priced. And they come in pairs, so a light and a dark in each color. I don't know how much the Darling Duckling adds to them, but some. Yeah, so, and I like, watercolor markers are annoying, isn't the right word. You can often see lines when you go back and over stuff, and the blends, they just blend together, the alcohol ink, and it makes it look nice. Let's use the brush tip, get down in there. Yeah, so when you do it afterwards, you don't get the white because you're actually coloring in everywhere that isn't black. But, so that's just a different look. I don't think it's better or worse. Just different. Yeah, do some shading here. There are other brands of alcohol markers that are refillable. They're much pricier to buy to begin with. And I could spend time going through those and finding ones that were supposed to be the same, or that turn out to be the same color as Stampin' Up colors, but I kind of like just being able to order what I know is supposed to to do the trick and be done. And let's do some more leaves. So I did deliberately choose to emboss both pieces in basically the same spot on the embossing folder to get a similar look. So they're similar, but you can see I came in and I'm gonna do some more just right down here. You can come in with the pad and fill in some of those light spaces a little bit more. So there we go. Two different ways. Very similar effects. I don't know that I have a preference. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, I think they look similar enough that they're probably, whichever one you have, you know, if you don't have a brayer, doesn't mean you can't use it. Do it with this. That's with that. That's with that. Yeah. So there you go. Blackout technique, it's called, because you're blacking out everything that you haven't colored. And that will do it for me today. If you have any questions, you can reach me at nancy@nancysniftynotes.com. I don't do a digital detox when I go on vacation, so I will be online all the time. So feel free to reach out to me. These will be on my next blog post at nancysniftynotes.com. It will have all of the materials that I use and a link to my online store if you're here in Australia. Thank you for joining me and watching me, and I will be back doing lives probably Wednesday the 13th of August. Unless I come back and I'm just totally wiped out, in which case it'll be the following week. But that is my plan, and I will see you then. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.